I'm Paul Sollenberger, head of product for CeramicSpeed for over 9 years now. I've had the opportunity to get to see these things firsthand and understand what makes CeramicSpeed products so amazing. And today, we're going to do a deep dive and share with you what sets UFO apart, how we do our testing and development, and where this product family came from in the first place. Starting back in 2015, CeramicSpeed first introduced the UFO chain, a factory-optimized, cleaned and waxed chain giving you the ultimate in performance and wax longevity to help make your racing and riding even more efficient. We followed that up in 2017 with our first bottled product, UFO Drip. And along with this, we learned a lot of things, such as hydrocarbons are not great for the environment or for you to drink or you to use. So we had to dive in and make a better understanding of how we can produce these products in a sustainable and an environmentally friendly way and give you the best performance on bike still. So why does UFO exist? Well, it's all about the chain itself. The bicycle drivetrain has been unchanged for a really long time. And with that, we've used lubrication and oils from all sorts of different industries to make our chain move back and forth and also help keep it from being a squeaky, noisy mess. And it's that messy part that can really set apart a good lubricant from a bad lubricant. So in a normal drivetrain, you have 8 points of articulation to it: the chain ring, the pulley wheels, and the cassette. And as the chain moves back and forth over each of these, it's going to have a little bit of movement sliding between the 4 chain links and rolling around the pin roller. All of this adds up to around 20,000 points of articulations a minute at 95 RPMs. It's a lot of small movements that can sit there and take up your efficiency and your energy. As you're out riding and as you're pedaling around, this efficiency can equate to a difference of 6 or 8 or even 10 watts of loss compared to a highly efficient lubricant getting down below 3 watts of efficiency loss. How do we know this? Well, this testing is done through what we've learned with friction facts on a loaded test machine at 250 watt input at 95 RPMs, measuring just the amount of energy that it takes the chain to make these little movements back and forth over and over and over. So we'll go back into history a little bit and see, where did UFO come from? This ultra-fast optimized concept goes back before 2013, with Jason Smith in Friction Facts of Boulder, Colorado, went into his local bike shop and was looking for what was the most efficient chain lubricant that he could buy. He was told what smelled good and what the guys at the shop used, but he didn't actually get any facts about what made a chain fast. Jason was just an age group athlete with a family and a day job, and he wanted to make sure that when he hit the race course, that bike leg was efficient as possible. He did the training and he wanted the equipment to match. So diving in, he started developing his own test equipment and doing the testing to validate what made one lubricant faster than another lubricant. In 2013, Velo News jumped onto this and shared the first chain lubricant shootout, covering a wide range of different lubricants, going in losses from around 5 watts to well over 8 watts. These differences were pretty astounding. There were some commonalities and then some strange outliers. As time went on, in 2014, they decided to do a follow-up test and include just some crazy ideas and your old wives' tales. How about ski wax, paraffin wax from canning, or even just regular old extra virgin olive oil? Some of the results were pretty surprising. The absolute fastest was good old paraffin wax. The problem with that is it just wouldn't stick to the chain long enough to really be effective outside in race conditions. So when Jason Smith took this in 2014, he developed a formula that created the first UFO optimized chain, comprising of just 3 ingredients, and was able to commit to less than 5 watts of efficiency loss on your chain and deliver overall about 150 miles of optimization life. These tests by Jason and Friction Facts really caught the attention of CeramicSpeed, as we were looking to validate and confirm what we believed in our own test processes and producing the fastest quality bearings. We wanted to work with someone outside to make sure that we knew exactly what kind of friction was produced in a bearing and how we could produce a more efficient bearing itself. That partnership then continued to grow, and that's when CeramicSpeed acquired the UFO chain process and formula in 2015. and led to the acquisition entirely of Friction Facts and bringing Jason Smith on board for the development of our UFO drip in 2016. When CeramicSpeed got involved, we were curious about validating and testing our own bearings and our own products, and found ways to incorporate the UFO chain into our product range. This moved the UFO chain from Jason's basement to a clean lab facility to do this in a larger scale, reaching many more customers. Today, we've produced over 40,000 race chains and shipped all around the world, helping riders at the Tour de France, at the Grand Tours, at Kona for the Ironman World Championships, and at all your local races have better performance and a cleaner, longer lasting drivetrain. As we evolved, people looked for easier ways to get this wax treatment onto their bike. Could they send their chain back to us? Well, that's a lot of shipping and not very eco-friendly to bring those chains from all around the world back to Denmark and out to you guys again. And this is where the concept came for in 2017, the first UFO drip. Jason Smith said, I can make the world's fastest bottled drip lubricant. And to be honest, he succeeded. With all the testing metrics that we could test and throw at him, he did create the fastest bottled product. But as we produced this, we found we had to include some symbols here that maybe aren't the greatest and not the best for the environment. This is a hydrocarbon base, meaning it has flammable liquids to it that act as the carrier. They work really well with the paraffin wax, blending evenly, having a nice liquid product that's easy to apply and then dries, leaving just the wax on the chain. But it's not great to produce, it's not brilliant for the environment, and it's also kind of hazardous to use and work with. So we very quickly then set upon working on a new water-based formula to get rid of all of these unfun signs. We succeeded when we introduced in 2019 the UFO drip in a water-based formula. This updated formula came from years of testing and development in-house to get rid of those environmentally unfriendly ingredients, and we're proud to place a non-toxic, biodegradable label on this product, having something that's safe for you, safe for your bike, and safe for the environment. In 2023, we did another revamp and a refresh, right-sizing the bottle here, giving customers an easier opportunity to get into the UFO drip world and having those same great performance benefits. This is the UFO drip all conditions, still based on that original ethos of the fastest bottled product available, now giving durability up to 300 kilometers or about 180 miles of efficiency and remaining below 3 watts of efficiency loss on your chain. We also introduced our UFO drip wet conditions for those wet rides where you need something that's gonna stick to the chain a little bit greater, and even a UFO drip indoor and track formula. This was developed for those clean indoor use applications where you wanna minimize any possible wax flaking off of the chain and have the absolute most efficiency in a bottle possible. So as this UFO family of products has grown, we want to go ahead and now take you behind the scenes and speak with our PhD chemist, Lina Søbjerg, so that way she can tell us a little bit more on the development process and how many hours she has spent refining these formulas, and dive into our test facility and look at actually how we validate what we put on the bottle and what we support you guys in the field with. Well, we're here in the UFO development lab with our resident chemist, Lina. Thanks for having us here in your lab and showing a little bit of what you do in here. Before we get started, can you share what your background is, what you did before you came to CeramicSpeed?
I'm a chemist. I have a PhD in chemistry here from Denmark, University of Aarhus. And I worked previously at a big chemical company here in Denmark also. And then I relocated to the Western Jutland and I got a job here at CeramicSpeed.
Well, very cool. And now you've been with us for a few years. When did you start and what's your current role as our chemist?
I've been here for almost 8 years now. So, and I do product development, primarily the UFO family, but I've also been developing the SLT formula for the SLT bearings. And then I'm into quality control, mainly of the UFO products, and also optimizing these products if we see something that's not working.
Okay, so you've been with us quite a while and our UFO products have changed quite a bit since then. So how has your work evolved from when you first started with us and what you were focusing on and now what you're doing today?
So when I got hired by CeramicSpeed, they had problems with the UFO chain production, and so that's where I started. And then it slowly, I started looking at optimizing the formula that Jason previously developed to get higher mileage and lower friction. And then I also looked into and developed a new production method. So we were using highly toxic chemicals to get rid of the chain oil, manufacturing grease on the chains. And we had developed the drivetrain cleaner, so we could use biodegradable, non-toxic chemicals to remove the manufacturing grease on the chains. And that's also what we're using today.
Nice. So this product that we have for our customers to be non-toxic and biodegradable, you actually developed that for our own internal practices to be more eco-friendly.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty awesome to have that come from an internal need to have better green practices and then to share that with customers around the world. Yeah. So how has that evolved for you now that the UFO chain has been in the market for a while and is, we'd like to say, fairly stable these days, and then moving to the UFO drip. Jason developed a really great formula first, but it also used some of those crazy chemicals that we wanted to get around. Yeah. So how did that come into your area of focus, and how do you work with that now?
Well, my main focus is on the different chain lubricants and getting them having these properties that we would like. So that was my main focus also as a chemist. It was more up my alley to get rid of these toxic chemicals and find a solution of how to make them water-based, so it's safe to use for the customers. Yeah.
Well, very cool, and that makes things a lot easier from production to shipping and even storing and using them. So I think we can all say thank you for those great efforts to make those developments and have them be eco-friendly. So how do you begin the process of developing that perfect chain coating?
Well, it starts here in the lab, where I am developing the formula as we would like, with the properties that we want. And when I'm ready and when I think I have something that's worth testing, then we go to our test lab.
It's okay to have some ownership of it. I think you're really protective, and there's a lot of cool equipment in here. So I'm always in awe and also a little confused because I didn't pay enough attention in chemistry class as far as what all things we can do. So I think it's pretty awesome having this as part of our facility and your lab. Mm-hmm. So what's the steps in taking those characteristics and moving into that development? Taking just a wax and having some other ingredients thrown in with it.
The first thing that we need to do is specify the properties of the lubricant that we want. Do you want it to have low friction? Do you want it to be water resistant? And do you want to have it a huge endurance or durability? What are the precise properties? Normally somebody would say everything. We want low friction, we want it to last as long as possible, we want it doesn't come off in any rain, mud whatsoever. It's just often not that possible to get everything, so we need to specify the properties of the lubricant that we want. And when we have that, then I can start to play with which kind of wax formulas, which wax components do I need. People often think that a wax is a wax, but there are hundreds of different waxes that you can choose from, and each have their own properties. So it's really depending on which properties that you're seeking.
So what are some of those characteristics if we're looking at like just the waxes and why you would pick one wax versus another? Do you have some examples of what we have?
Yeah, just a minute. So here, most products contain paraffin wax, and paraffin wax is actually quite a good lubricant. As you can see, it adheres to the metal, and it has this non-sticky feel, and that's why people tend to use that a lot.
Okay.
Whereas there are a lot of different lubricant or waxes that doesn't adhere to sunflower wax, for example, it does not adhere to the metal surface at all. Then you can also have something like lanolin wax that has it's derived from sheep wool, which means that it's quite sticky feel, and it adheres really well to the metal surface. It's almost impossible to get off. But if you use that as your sole component to a wax lubricant or a chain lubricant, then you would get something that sticks really well to the metal surface, but it's almost impossible to spin. So you will use a lot of energy just to use your drivetrain.
So not great for efficiency there.
Not great for efficiency.
Okay, so we got some trade-offs. We want it to stay on the chain, but also not become like glue and not be efficient.
Exactly. So it's getting these properties and different ratios of different waxes. That's the key to getting that lubricant that with the properties that you want.
All right, so now we've looked at some of these different characteristics in the wax, and we've determined we don't want it to be too sticky, we don't want it to just fall off the chain, so we got the Goldilocks of waxes, but what are the next steps? How do we turn this into a product for a bicycle, and how it gets onto a chain?
When you have the final wax composition, then that's a solid. And then I need to turn it into something that's pourable from a bottle. So it needs to be melted, and then I need to add it to water. Water and wax doesn't mix well, so I need to add some emulsifiers and corrosion inhibitors to protect the chain from weather and rust. And getting the emulsifier combination good or correct is challenging, and that's why I'm testing a lot of different formulas. They need to stay. I need to test the stability of these formulas for 3 to 12 months, both at room temperature and also at 40 degrees Celsius, to make sure that we have something that's stable enough so customers buy our products in the store and it doesn't go bad until they have used everything.
All right, that's definitely some deep steps, but maybe, what is that, a dozen different formulas? How many different combinations can there be?
A lot. So for the UFO family, we have tested over 700 different formulas, and we have spent 4,000 hours in the test lab.
That's a lot of time in the test lab.
Yeah, exactly. And those hours is also just getting riders to test the loop. It's really important to get out in the field and be there, talk to riders. How does it feel? Is gear shifting affected? How is the friction? How is the overall feel when you're using these lubricants? That's really important to get that hands-on experience directly from the test riders.
All right, so we've talked through some of the different ingredients to mix here, and you specifically mentioned water and an emulsifier. Are there things that are really important to avoid, or areas of importance to you as you do this?
It's important for me that our products doesn't contain harmful chemicals. And it's not just our lubricants, it's also our chain cleaner and bike wash, because customers are maintaining their bikes with the kids, and they're giving their love for the bicycle to their kids. And it's important for me that kids are safe, that they don't come in contact with harmful chemicals. And a lot of, unfortunately, there are still some of our competitors that use harmful chemicals in their products, and I think it's important to avoid those.
Absolutely, yeah, something to give that good stability, but also make sure it's eco-friendly and safe for everyone that you're using it around. So I think we can all say thank you for having that such a priority and still developing such great products for everyone to use. So we do all of this testing, and I know from my experience in the US working close with Jason Smith that there's a lot of different pieces of test equipment. So why do we need so many different types of machines just to test the friction of a lubricant?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We started out with just having the friction tester to where we can measure the friction in a chain, and I can compare the different lubricants. But that's the problem with that is it's only one gear, and it doesn't have a rear derailleur, so it doesn't mimic a real drivetrain. So that's why we built an endurance tester. So it's a real drivetrain, and we can add sand and water, and we can run the chain for as long as possible. So we can really test how the lubricant performs, and also which claims that we can back up our claims.
So we can really get in there and not just isolate individual friction, but also replicate how a traditional drivetrain works with tension and a derailleur, as well as in different conditions.
Yes.
But then we also have to take that out into the field. We can't just test in the lab, right?
No, unfortunately not. Because out in the field we have wind, we have people are riding in mud and through lakes, and all of these things that's just impossible to replicate in the lab. And so we need these field tests as well.
How detailed can we get on the testing? Do we test plus or minus 5 watts, or how focused can this testing get?
It can get quite focused. The test machine is it can go down to 0.1 watt and up to 8.8 watts. So
right.
it's quite detailed. Yeah.
So we got a range of focus there. And is there a specific input parameter, or how does this testing relate to a normal rider?
Well, the test machine run at input is 250 watts at 95 RPM. And that corresponds mostly to how a normal rider would ride.
All right, pretty standard there. And when you get into the field riders, do you have dialogue? Do we, when we're working with our teams, explain a little bit of how that procedure goes and how you factor that into your development?
Well, riders and also both teams and individual riders, they can email me, and sometimes they also phone me and send pictures, videos. Everything that they can give as feedback is good feedback, and it's helping me develop and optimize the products.
So is there anything that's most important to keep in mind when doing all this testing?
We can set up the test machines in the lab to give as much water and sand and different conditions as we want, but it's really important to get feedback from the test machines that's similar as the feedback from the real world. So we need to mimic these conditions that test riders are feeling when they're using the product. So that's why we need to have both test riders outside of CeramicSpeed, but also the test machines, and they need to be correlated so we get sort of the similar answers.
So when it's all said and done and all the test hours have been put into work, would you do it all over again?
Of course, yeah, definitely. It has been a steep learning curve, but it's also been very fun to all of these different products, going from just an idea to final products.
Well, very cool. Lina, thanks for taking the time with us. I know English isn't your first language, being here in Denmark, and it's been great to learn a little bit more and share it with everyone out there. So, with all of that awesomeness coming out of the lab and all of the tests validating what we're doing on machines, we also then take it out into the field before this product ever makes its way to you. This has been tested time and time again through our partnerships with World Tour teams, professional triathletes, privateer gravel racers, as well as our global network of test riders. Teams like Intermarché have spent countless hours working with us, giving us feedback on how to make better products, and this is how we developed our wet conditions drip product. Out in the field, getting that feedback from these riders allows us to better understand and make a stronger connection between our test protocols in the lab that you saw and how you're going to experience the products in the field. Working hand in hand with teams like Pulti Cometa, Uno X, athletes like Sam Laidlow, Brennan Wirtz, as well as Annie Haug, and going even further and having products on most bikes on the island for the big Triathlon World Championship every year. We validate this from top to bottom, making sure that we know how these products are going to work for you and that they're going to perform and give you the experience that we're after. This has also led to our UFO family continuing to grow. As athletes travel around and have different needs for their products, we want to be there to support with a full family of non-toxic and biodegradable, safe-to-use products for you. So, all the way back at the top, UFO ultra-fast optimization. The ethos is just cleaner, simpler, and faster. These products have gone through so much testing and thousands of hours of time in the lab and development and field partners, working with our pro teams, athletes, and listening to you guys as riders out there, that we make sure that we have those products that are going to serve you, show your bike how much you care and how much you really want to get out there and enjoy your ride. So now you can hit that subscribe button, you can follow along, give us that feedback, let us know what other comments, what other conversations you'd like to have and topics to cover. And be sure to visit our website or look around on our channel for installation videos and tips and tricks to get the most out of your CeramicSpeed experience and enjoy your ride.